I never imagined my marriage would end over a house. But when my wife looked me in the eye and said, "If you won't do this, maybe we need to reconsider this marriage," something inside me just broke. Let me back up. I'm 36, and 2 years ago I inherited my grandparents' house. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath place. Nothing extravagant, but it's paid off, which matters. What matters more, though, is what my grandfather built inside it. He was a master carpenter, the kind who didn't just build furniture but created legacy pieces. There's this dining table he crafted from a single oak tree that fell on their property back in the 70s. It took him 6 months to complete. The thing seats 12 people and doesn't have a single nail in it. Just pure joinery. The kind that's worth more than the house itself to the right collector. I've been married to my wife, who's 34, for 5 years now. When I inherited the place, we decided together to keep it as a rental property. We had good tenants, a nice older couple whose rent covered property taxes, insurance, and left us something extra each month. My wife seemed perfectly fine with the arrangement. We'd talked casually about maybe moving in someday, but there was no urgency, no pressure. Then last week, everything changed. She came home from lunch with her sister, and I knew immediately something was off. She had this look, the kind where you can tell someone's already decided you're the villain before they've even asked the question. "We need to talk about the house," she said. I asked what about it, and that's when she told me her sister's lease was ending next month and rent prices were insane. She wanted to let her sister live there. I reminded her the tenants still had 8 months on their lease, and that even after that, her sister would need to pay rent. We couldn't just let someone live there for free. Her expression shifted, cold, determined. She's family. She shouldn't have to pay. I tried explaining that property taxes alone run $4,000 a year, plus insurance and maintenance. The rental income covers all of that. She countered that her sister could just pay the property tax then, way less than market rent. But that's not how any of this works, and mixing family with landlord responsibilities is a recipe for disaster. That's when she said it. "I think you should just give her the house." I actually laughed. I thought she was joking. Give away my inheritance, a $300,000 asset? She wasn't joking. She needs it. We don't. We have our apartment. She's drowning in debt, barely making ends meet. That's what family does. They help. Helping is offering to assist with budgeting. Maybe covering some rent if she's short. It's not handing over a house. But my wife kept pushing. She called me selfish, accused me of hoarding a whole house while her sister struggled. I reminded her we'd planned to eventually sell it and use the money for a down payment on our own place. "Plans change," she said flatly. "My sister's family. If you really loved me, you'd want to help her." The manipulation was so thick I could taste it. And then she dropped the bomb. "If you won't do this, maybe we need to reconsider this marriage." I stared at her, unable to believe what I was hearing. She'd just threatened divorce. She tried to frame it as concern about my character, saying if I was this selfish, she didn't know if she could be with someone like that. Something in me just clicked. I looked at her and said, "Okay, let's get divorced." Her face drained of color. She stammered, tried to backpedal, said she didn't mean it, that I was overreacting. But I was done. "You threatened divorce. I'm accepting. If that's really how you feel, then we're done. I'm not giving away my grandparents' house. If that ends our marriage, then it ends." She started apologizing, saying she was just emotional, but I couldn't hear it anymore. I told her I needed space and left. I stayed at the house that night. That was 5 days ago, and my phone hasn't stopped since. Her sister texted me, calling me a selfish piece of garbage, saying I was ruining her life. We've met maybe 10 times, but somehow I'm the villain in her story because I won't hand her my house. Her mom called and left a voicemail asking what my grandparents would think of me being so greedy. You know what they'd think? They'd be glad they left the house specifically to me in their will, not to me and my future spouse, just to me. My wife keeps cycling between apologizing and getting angry that I'm taking this too far. Her latest message said we need to talk, that she loves me, and maybe we can work something out with her sister. Work something out. She's still on that. I called a divorce lawyer yesterday. Consultations tomorrow. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Who threatens divorce over something like this and then acts shocked when there are actual consequences? Update 1. This escalated faster than I could have imagined. I went to the lawyer consultation and brought everything: the deed, the will, our rental lease, bank statements. The lawyer looked it all over and gave me the best news I could have hoped for. The house is entirely my separate property. Inherited assets don't become marital property in this state unless you've significantly commingled funds or added her name to the deed. I never did either. The rental income goes into a separate account I opened just for property expenses. Everything house-related comes out of that account. Perfect, she said. She has zero legal claim to that house. As for everything else, anything acquired during the marriage gets split. Retirement accounts, savings, jointly owned vehicles. I'll probably owe spousal support since there's an income disparity. My wife works part-time at a boutique, bringing home maybe $180 a month. The lawyer estimated 18 to 24 months of support, maybe $1,000 a month. But the house? Protected. I filed the next day, had her served at work. The meltdown that followed was something to witness. She called me, screaming through the phone. "You filed? For real?" I told her she'd threatened divorce, and I was following through. She said she didn't actually mean it, that I was supposed to realize I was wrong. Wrong about what? Protecting what's mine? She said this was all insane, that it was just over a house. Yeah, I said, your ultimatum, your consequences. She kept insisting her sister needed the house, that she'd be homeless otherwise. Still on about her sister. I told her that her sister's finances weren't my problem. She couldn't believe I was doing this after everything we've been through. 5 years of marriage versus her sister's bad credit and worse financial decisions. Not even close. I hung up and blocked her number, leaving only email open for communication. Then her family went into full assault mode. Her sister actually showed up at my workplace. Security had to remove her from the lobby after she started screaming about how I was a selfish bastard and owed her because that's what family does. My boss called me in afterward, concerned, and I gave him the short version. He just shook his head and said, "Some people, man." Then her mom called my mom, which was a massive mistake. My mom doesn't do emotional manipulation, and she's fiercely protective. She told her mom point blank, "Your daughter tried to bully my son into giving away his inheritance to her entitled sister. Now she's upset there are consequences. She can kick rocks." Apparently, her mom started crying about how I was destroying her daughter. My mom's response? "Your daughter destroyed her own marriage when she chose her sister over her husband." Then she hung up. That's my mom. But it got worse. Her dad, usually the reasonable one, called me. He asked if we couldn't work this out, said his daughter loved me. I told him she'd threatened divorce if I didn't give away my house to her sister. There was nothing to work out. He tried the "it's just property" angle, said the marriage should matter more. But that house is my grandparents' legacy. They left it to me specifically. If my wife couldn't respect that, then no, the marriage didn't matter more. He called me stubborn. I called it being realistic. She showed me where her priorities were, and I believed her. He said I'd regret this. Maybe, but I'd still have the house and my dignity. Then came the absolute worst part. The tenants called me, panicked. My wife's sister had shown up at the house, tried to get inside, and told them to start packing because she was moving in next month. I immediately contacted my lawyer. She sent a cease and desist to the sister for harassment and trespassing and sent the tenants a letter confirming their lease was solid. If the sister showed up again, they were to call the police. My wife's lawyer sent an email requesting mediation to explore reconciliation. My lawyer's response was simple. Client declines. Divorce proceedings continue. Discovery started last week. Found out my wife hired some budget attorney who sent a demand letter claiming she was entitled to compensation for emotional labor contributed to property maintenance. My lawyer actually laughed out loud reading it. This was going to be one hell of a ride. Update 2. The entitlement reached levels I genuinely didn't think were possible. During discovery, my wife's attorney tried to argue she had a stake in the house because she'd contributed to its upkeep and maintenance during our marriage. Their evidence? Cleaning supply receipts for our apartment, not the rental. Photos of her at the house during the initial tenant walkthrough. Text messages where she'd given opinions on which tenants to accept. A list of improvements she'd suggested that were never actually done. My lawyer pulled out bank statements showing the rental income never touched our joint account. The deed with only my name. Property tax records from my separate account. Maintenance receipts with only my signature, and the actual will itself. The judge took maybe 5 minutes to shut it down. Told her attorney the claim was without merit and borderline frivolous. My wife looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. Her attorney just looked pissed, but then things went nuclear. Her sister posted on social media. One of our mutual friends screenshotted it and sent it to me. She'd written about how I'd inherited a house and refused to help family in need, how I'd rather see her homeless than be a decent human. That money clearly mattered more to me than people. She even asked if anyone knew a good lawyer because she needed to explore her options. The comments were split. Half the people said it was my inheritance and I had every right. The other half acted like I was kicking puppies for sport. One person told her to get her finances together instead of begging for handouts. Her response? He married into this family. That makes the house partially ours. Family helps family. I screenshotted everything and sent it to my lawyer. She added it to our file documenting the harassment. Here's where it gets really good. My wife had been staying in our apartment. Lease was in both our names, but she couldn't afford the rent alone. So she had to move. Where? Back in with her parents. Her mom called me from my wife's phone, which I'd blocked, but I hadn't blocked her mom's number yet. She told me my daughter was living in her childhood bedroom at 34 because of me. I corrected her. Because of her daughter's ultimatum. She said I made $6,000 a month and could have just helped, that now her daughter was embarrassed and broke. I reminded her that her daughter had threatened divorce if I didn't give away my inheritance. These were the consequences of that choice. It's just a house, she said. Houses aren't worth more than people. If that was true, then her daughter should have thought about that before choosing her sister over our marriage. She accused me of being vindictive and asked about spousal support, whether I was just going to leave her daughter with nothing. The court would determine what was fair, I told her. She'd get what was legally required. Legally required? She spat. She gave you 5 years. And I gave her 5 years of support and love. Then she demanded my house and threatened divorce. I wasn't the bad guy here. Her final line was that her daughter was suffering. My response, "Your daughter made a choice. Now she's living with it." I blocked her after that. The mediation was a nightmare. Her lawyer pushed hard. $2,000 a month spousal support for 3 years, half my retirement, standard for our state, half of all rental income from the house during our marriage, and the car we'd split payments on. My lawyer countered with $800 a month for 18 months, half the marital retirement. Fine, that's standard. 0 rental income since it was separate property from a separate account, and she could keep the car as long as I was taken off the title. Her lawyer tried the whole "she can't survive on 800" routine. My lawyer shot back that she was living rent-free with her parents with minimal expenses. 800 plus her part-time income gave her $2,600 a month, which was adequate while she found full-time work. Her lawyer said she shouldn't have to find full-time work since she'd been part-time for years. My lawyer's response was ice cold. By choice. She's 34, healthy, and has no dependents. My client isn't funding her lifestyle indefinitely. The judge sided mostly with us. $1,000 a month support for 2 years. Half the retirement, about $32,000 total. Each of us kept our own car. We split the joint savings about $4,000. I'd pay her attorney fees $3,500. The house? Never even discussed. It was mine. Period. My wife had to sign. Her lawyer probably told her she'd lose worse in court. But watching her face when she realized she was walking away with basically nothing, that the house she'd tried to give to her sister was never even on the table, priceless. She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. Is this really worth it? Ending everything over this? I didn't hesitate. You ended it when you made that ultimatum. I'm just finishing what you started. She said she didn't think I'd actually go through with it. That's the problem, I told her. You thought I was bluffing. You thought you could manipulate me into giving away my grandparents' legacy. You were wrong. She left sobbing. Her sister was waiting outside. I saw her through the window, glaring at me like I'd just committed murder. I still didn't care. The divorce finalized last week. Took about 3 months total. I'm living in the house now. The tenants moved out last month when their lease ended. They bought their own place. I'm fixing it up, making it mine again. I found my grandfather's original sketches for the furniture he built, including plans for matching chairs to go with that dining table that he never finished. I've started learning woodworking, trying to complete what he started. My ex sent one last desperate email asking if I hated her but saying her sister was really struggling, about to be evicted, and could I please rent her the house at a reduced rate for old times' sake. I deleted it and blocked that email too. Found out through friends that her sister's struggles include a $700 a month car payment on a BMW she can't afford, regular girls' trips to wine country, and a serious online shopping addiction. She's not struggling. She's terrible with money. And somehow that was supposed to become my problem. My ex ended up moving in with her sister. After everything, they're roommates now. Her parents kicked her out after 6 weeks because she wasn't contributing to household expenses. The irony is just beautiful. She wanted me to give her sister a free house. Now she's living with that sister, probably not paying rent there either. You can't make this stuff up. Final update. It's been about 4 months since the divorce was finalized, and people keep asking how everything turned out. Life's not perfect, but it's mine again, and that feels like enough. I fixed up the house. New roof cost me close to $9,000, but the rental income I'd been stashing away covered most of it. I found my grandfather's old woodworking tools in the garage and spent the last few months teaching myself how to use them properly. I finally finished 2 of the dining chairs he'd planned. They're not perfect, but they're done, and that matters. My ex tried one more time about 6 weeks ago. I'd installed a video doorbell by then, so I saw her before she even knocked. She asked for just 5 minutes to talk. I told her we were divorced and there was nothing to talk about. She said she'd made a mistake, that she could see that now, that she'd been wrong about the house. I said that was great and told her to have a nice life. "Please," she said, "I miss you. I miss us. Can't we just start over?" "No," I told her. Simple as that. She asked if 5 years really meant nothing. I told her 5 years meant something until she decided her sister's financial problems were more important than our marriage. She'd tried to help family, she said, by demanding I give away mine. Yeah, I remembered. She should leave. The support payments end in less than 2 years. What am I supposed to do then? And there it was, the real reason for the visit. Get a full-time job, I told her. Figure it out. Not my problem anymore. "You're really just done? That easy?" she asked. I looked at her through the camera. "You made it easy when you threatened divorce. I just took you seriously." She left. I haven't heard from her since. Her sister, though, oh man, found out through the grapevine she got evicted 2 months ago. The BMW got repossessed. She's been couch surfing ever since, and according to mutual friends, she's telling everyone it's my fault. Her logic, if I'd just given her the house, she wouldn't have money problems. My logic, if she'd made better financial decisions, she wouldn't have money problems. We are not the same. She actually tried to leave me a 1-star review on my work profile on some professional networking site, claiming I was unethical in personal dealings. The site removed it for being personal rather than professional, and her account got flagged. My ex's mom sent one final text. "I hope you're happy. My daughter is struggling because of your selfishness." I didn't even respond, just blocked the number. But honestly, yeah, I am happy. Or at least I'm getting there. The divorce cost me about $45,000 total. Retirement split, legal fees, spousal support so far. Worth every single penny to protect the house and my peace of mind. I started seeing someone new, taking it slow. She came over one night with wine, and we sat at that dining table my grandfather made. She ran her hands over the joinery and said, "Someone who threatens to leave you over protecting this doesn't deserve you." Yeah, I'm keeping her around. My mom came by last weekend to see the chairs I'd finished. She got emotional, told me my grandfather would be so proud of me. I asked if she really thought so. "I know," she said. "Not just the chairs, everything. You stood your ground." That hit different. Some people think I'm cold for how this went down, that I chose property over a person. They're wrong. I chose boundaries over manipulation. I chose my grandparents' legacy over entitled demands. I chose self-respect over being threatened into giving away what was mine. The house is just a symbol of all that. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat. Would I be more careful about red flags next time? Absolutely. But would I ever give up this house to someone who demanded it as an ultimatum? Never. To anyone dealing with something similar, your inheritance is yours. Your boundaries matter. And if someone threatens to leave you for not giving away what's rightfully yours, let them walk. They're doing you a favor. The house is paid off. The furniture's getting finished. Life's good. That's it. Thanks for following along, Reddit. I've got some chairs to finish.